Hello again. Welcome to part 5 of my vlog. If you have stuck with it this far, then you are indeed doing very well. So, this part is about transport and holidays. Unfortunately, this is where things start to get a little bit more painful. Our generation and our children and their children have grown up in a world that's become smaller and smaller due to the advent of plentiful and cheap air travel, amongst other things. It kind of feels like it's become our right to fly off to some exotic location in the summer or fly off to the mountains in the winter. Everybody does it, so why shouldn't you? We've earned it, yeah? Nobody's ever told us that it might just be a bad idea. Industries and indeed whole economies rely on cheap air transportation of tourists and goods in order to thrive and make profits. So why would anyone tell us it's a bad idea? Ironically, in the long term, the fact that so many of us spend so much time travelling by air to visit far flung or even nearby destinations could end up being the main contributory factor to the deterioration of the environment that renders these destinations tourist free or uninhabitable. The Alps could no longer have any snow to ski on. The traditional Mediterranean hotspots will become so hot that the heat will be intolerable, as many people have already experienced this summer. Um, Low-lying Pacific islands will vanish beneath the sea. Scuba diving destinations will cease to exist as the oceans get too warm and acidic, and the coral reefs bleach and die. Um, this is already happening on a massive scale on the Great Barrier Reef. I think it's lost 30% of its living coral reef in the last 4 or 5 years. It's heartbreaking. The simple facts of this, as discussed during the earlier vlogs, driving petrol and diesel cars is pretty bad. However, driving from the UK to the south of France in a car with 4 people in it would emit less than 10% of the carbon per person compared to flying the same journey, assuming your car's doing, say, 50 miles to the gallon. I'm going to repeat that. You could drive to the Alps and back 10 times and still emit less carbon than you would if you flew. So I'm not suggesting that we all stop flying. I know that's unrealistic and impractical, and it'd have a massive impact on the quality of life for millions of people. All I will say is, when you're next thinking of flying, ask yourself, is there another way? Perhaps we could holiday in the UK a bit more. Personally speaking, I've yet to find anywhere better in the world than the North Devon coastline or the Yorkshire Dales, the Lake Districts, parts of Scotland, more beautiful than anywhere on the planet. We live in a beautiful country, and spending a bit more time here rather than defaulting to a cheap flight abroad might not be such a bad thing. If you are travelling further afield, how about looking at land or sea based travel as an option? Personally, what am I doing? I'm going to try and reduce my flights by 50% each year, which will mean flying no more than once each year. When I do fly, I'm going to try and offset my emissions. There's a few places that do carbon offset schemes. The one that I think is um, quite genuine is a company called Atmosphere. So I'm going to just hold up their website address here. You put in details of the flight and who you're flying with, and they will work out a cost to offset the carbon. It's obviously better not to fly in the first place, but for me, that'll reduce a little bit of the guilt involved on the odd occasion when we do fly. So that's the end of part 5. I hope it was of some use, and thank you again for listening, and hope to see you in the final part, which is part 6, when I'm going to talk about food, the population, which is going to be particularly uncomfortable, and anything else that I can think of throwing in there. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye bye.